ready to start another episode of You're Wrong, Here's Why. And this is a big one. I got a ton of great experts here with me today to talk about Star Wars, to talk about the worst to the best when it comes to these films. And we are not talking about the cartoons. We are not talking about the Christmas special. We are not talking about The Mandalorian, the comics, the books. I was this close to getting Timothy Zahn to being on with us as well, but he is busy. So maybe next time. So he, of course, writes some of the Star Wars books. But overall, let's just go into the lovely guests that I do have right now. So first and foremost, let's see up here in our top left, we have Jami Phibrick from M Time China. How are you doing today, sir?
Good, Derek. How you doing, man?
Doing good, doing good. I'm very happy to have you here. Next up, Salzy at the movies. Danielle, how are you doing today?
I am doing good. The force is strong with me today.
And, you know, I don't know how you feel that, but as long as you know it within yourself, that's what counts. If you move you move the LaCroix closer to you, you have your Force and your Hollywood all in one little motion, I guess. Next up from Review Nation, as well as his own lovely YouTube channel, Michael Keene. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah. If you get a chance, make sure to catch his YouTube channel where he covers a lot of cult releases that you've never heard of and you might not hear of again. But luckily, Vinegar Syndrome has, as well as some other people, and they love it. So I know he's doing well there. Going down the line, Mr. Jeff Howard, the Vegas film critic. You're ready. You have watched Star Wars before.
Yes, I have.
And actually, you know what? But before we go into go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
I was just saying, I'm all ready for today. I'm very excited, so beam me up.
Well, use the Force.
Is that right? Am I in the wrong chat room? Which one? What's?
No. That's right. That's right. So you know, one thing I do want to mention, Jeffrey has a Star Wars pass as well. As a child, the first movie, how many times did you watch it in a theater in a row?
110. I even made the RJ, the Reviews Journal here in Las Vegas.
Wow.
Even to the point where my parents had forbid me to see Star Wars anymore. And I walked, not realizing how far the theater was on a hot July day. And I walked like 4 or 5 miles at 11 years old. So yeah, I have an early history with Star Wars.
So Star Wars, the Force is, well, something strong with him at this point. But yeah, there's a history there for sure. Of course, let's go on to the next one here. We have Mr. Danny Minton. You are with Houston. The power there hopefully is strong. The Force is strong. The Chronicle, as well as all the newspapers there. Hopefully your day is going well. How's it going?
Doing wonderful. Thank you. Happy 4th.
Very good. Happy 5th. That's right. Happy 5th. Well, it's funny, too. We're not even the wrong day. That's exactly the day it is, too. So that's all right. Greg Russell, who is the next up, was going to be here, but apparently he does not judge traffic well. So we'll try to add him in along the way somewhere as well. Hopefully he can join us.
Something about he Googled your name, Derek, and he emailed me and said, never. That's all I got from him. So
if he Googled my name, the amount of things he would have saw would have made him jump for joy at being part of the show. So next up we have Alan with Vital Thrills and the Matinee Heroes podcast. Sir, welcome.
Thank you. I'm a little bit offended we're not talking about Caravan of Courage today, but otherwise I'm good.
Is that where you expected it to be?
Ewoks, they deserve their time in the sun. You know how it is.
I have not heard those 3 words in probably 30 years. I forgot all about that. Moon over Endor, Moon of Endor. What was the other one they did? They did 2, didn't they? Or
there's the Ewok Adventure, I think, and then Ewoks Caravan of Courage.
Oh my God!
Both on ABC.
I'll take the Christmas special over those.
We are now discussing them, so there you go.
There we go. See, I got him in there.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Well, we are here right now for a very important reason. We are going to take a quorum together of all the critics, the experts, and let's kind of put together the reasoning why and give ourselves an actual worst to best when it comes to the current films, which count at 11. So that's where we have right now, of course, episodes 1, 2, 3, which I don't know why people just say episode 1, 2, and 3, because they have names too. You know, we have our Phantom Menaces, and then you jump to Empire. years, and and then some people like Jeffrey have a problem with Star Wars: A New Hope as well, which I don't know. Well, that's a different argument for a different day. But he does not like the fact that A New Hope is even part of it.
If you say Star Wars to me, and in reference to the films, you're talking about the one from 1977. I don't need A New Hope. Thank you.
All right, so us kids will keep that. We'll keep that to ourselves. We don't need to redefine the New Hope or put walkie-talkies in the hands. Or
change it to Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's the official title.
It could be. It could be. I don't know.
It is.
One thing that we could go here. It's up to you whether you want to jump on the ride or if you want to watch the movie. So I think overall the Raiders of the Lost Ark are good, but you want, as you mentioned, to keep them in the same line on your DVD shelf if you're alphabetical and OCD, which I bet sci-fi people are. So you want to make sure that Indiana Jones is all with Indiana Joneses is, right?
That's right.
You have to. I mean, that's
a very good revisionist attitude. I like that. Yeah, just so it can be alphabetical on your DVD. It will change the names.
I think so too. I think that's where we win on this one. So let's talk about it. Let's go through these things here. One of the things that we're going to do as we go along is we are going to actually look and kind of place as we move along here and kind of place as we ramp up. One of the things I did want to talk about though is the fact that we are not going to try to take too long on each one of these, because I know that if we do, it could be 4 hours here. I know all the people here. I know how much we can talk, and I know how long that could be. So even to a point where at some times I'm going to have a counter right here. Look at this. I'm going to have a counter. I'm going to say, okay, you got a minute to try to convince us of this. And we are going to kind of take a little bit of debates. We're going to take a vote as well and kind of go from there. But let's start with this. We're going to go through here and we are going to say, the worst movie out there. And we're going to take everyone's thoughts and then kind of take them apart from there. So starting in the Star Wars universe right now, Jami, can you tell me which is the worst Star Wars film?
In my opinion,
Yes.
the worst Star Wars film, and I just want to say the 3 criteria I'm grading my list on: quality, legacy, and my own personal enjoyment. So my pick for the worst of all the Star Wars films is Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, so Rise of Skywalker gets worst. So we're going to put that down as having one. Next up, Danielle, what are we looking at for your worst?
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. All right, so Rise and Attack. Well, this is gonna. I feel like if this go, the worst one's gonna be the one that's gonna have the most places to go, unfortunately. So, Michael, what is your worst pick?
I'm going to go with Danielle here. Attack of the Clones is definitely my least enjoyed of the bunch.
All right, Attack of the Clones as well. So one for Rise and another one for Attack. Next up, Jeffrey K. Howard. What are we looking at? Worst film?
Well, I consider those middle 3 all the worst films, but I'm going to go with Phantom Menace. I think it's just terrible.
Phantom Menace. So you are not a pod racing fan, apparently.
No. Hell no.
All right.
Frank Welker, by the way, doing those double-headed. Oh, man, no, absolutely not. No.
All right. Okay. Now let's talk to Danny. Danny, what are you looking at? What's your worst film of the series here?
Jeff is correct. Phantom Menace is pretty much unwatchable at this point. And
Thank
I
you.
tried watching it again. It is incredibly hard. Can't even get my 10-year-old son to watch it.
Ugh.
Really? He didn't even like. I mean, that was the most merchandisable movie too, wasn't it? I think out of them.
I have all the original Phantom Menace action figures still in their packages. I think they're worth $13 total.
As I say, they're still worth their retail price, aren't they?
Well, that is unfortunate. All right, so jumping past Greg here, let's go to Alan. Alan, what is your worst Star Wars film?
The Rise of Skywalker is a betrayal of every single film that's come before it.
Wow, so a different rise.
That is
All
hard.
right, so we have a couple rises, but it looks like by these numbers here, without Greg, that we are going to be talking about Attack of the Clones and the Phantom Menace, correct? These are the two that we are going to be voting out through. And that's the way the system is going to work. We are essentially going to say these films, by the right, is it going to be Phantom Menace? Is this going to be the Huckleberry that we're going to go after here. It looks like it. And then the other one we had was Attack of the Clones too. So these are our two right now. So to start off with that, let's just start off with Danielle. You were the first one to bring this up here. Why is Attack of the Clones the worst movie?
It's outright terrible when you compare it to the rest. I mean, I should not have to require watching the Clone Wars for the backstory to this movie. It's that simple.
And so you think because there's a precursor was needed to understand it as a whole?
Yeah.
All right, Michael, you were going along with Danielle. What is your thought on Attack of the Clones? Do you have any specific reasoning for it, or is it the same overall? There's no real connection at the time for you.
To me, it kind of boils down to like the worst elements of the prequels. And I know that there's a lot of people who don't like the sort of commercial, sort of sellout feel of some of the newer films. But for me, the prequels, it's a guy who said what he had to say, has an idea, like a legitimately an interesting idea for how to push this idea forward. And then he just makes all these very strange, often sort of lazy mistakes. And Attack of the Clones for me is the one that feels the most kind of roughshod. It doesn't really feel like a full on its own movie. All the original films, they feel like their own thing. Obviously, they connect, but Attack of the Clones just feels like, well, this is the middle movie. And, we have these digital cameras we can use now, so I guess we'll do that. Sure, fuck it. We can make the Stormtroopers CGI. That'll be fine. Cool, let's do it. Yoda will jump around. It's fine. And I don't know. It's very boring. It's kind of it's a pain to watch. I think all the other films, except for my number 10 pick, all the other films are at least entertaining to some degree. And to me, Attack of the Clones isn't even entertaining. It's just a chore.
So I guess the question is, because what I'm getting from you here is you didn't feel like Lucas had the locked-in vision that he said he did when he started to go to the prequels? Did you not feel that way?
I think he had a vision that he could not adequately portray at the time. I don't know, if he was to suddenly get all his passion back now and try it again, maybe it would work. I think there is a good idea in the prequels. I just think it never really fully comes together. I think Revenge of the Sith is probably the best encapsulation, and I think that's mostly because he knew where he wanted to go. And then with the two previous films, it was just sort of we got to get there somehow. I don't know. Star Wars is I could make money, billions. And then he pooped it out.
You are not a toy guy apparently, because that's what those were all about really at the end. But moving on from that, okay, so that's Attack. Let's talk Phantom Menace and why that one was a stinker for you. Jeffrey K. Howard, what do you say?
Well, first of all, the first three Star Wars films were based on Joseph Campbell's, the myth. And that's what was so incredible about Luke Skywalker. He went from being a farm boy to a pilot, saving the universe. There was such an incredible storyline with those three films. The Phantom Menace all of a sudden there was no fantasy element for someone to aspire to. When you watch a character, it was so bogged down in geopolitical crap, that you had to take a college course to understand the space opera that was going on. The Simpsons did a really great tease once back when those came out, where an AT-AT Walker came through and they were having their chambers and you are out of order, and then it sat down to read a newspaper because they started just talking about all these political things. It was just, there was no fun or fantasy element with all of those films, those prequels, especially The Phantom Menace. And not only that, the bigotry that's in it with all those characters. If people couldn't see the Asian mockery or the Jewish mockery, it was just right as plain as nose on your face. So those were offensive right away. So everything happened in The Phantom Menace, a rotten foundation to go with the next two films and those prequels, with Sith being watchable, because since I was a kid, I heard of Darth Vader became that way because he had a lightsaber duel on a volcano planet. I heard that back even when Empire came out back 40 years ago. But this Phantom Menace, it's like George Lucas had anything to do with the first three films. It's like, where in the world was he going with this? So I just can't stand Phantom Menace because of all of those reasons. And they poor casting for Anakin. It should have been a different child actor. That kid drove me crazy. He had no talent.
Okay, Attacking the Kid. You don't see a lot of people
Jesus.
going directly for that one, but that's a good one too. You know what? Hit him when his pod racer's down. All right, Danny, how about you? What's your thought on Phantom here?
I mean, I would go for the kid first. Yeah, I think he was a horrible choice for an actor for this role, and they could have done a lot better with that. I think there's just poor vision behind it. He was trying to match up all these dots to the ultimate vision of what we consider the original trilogy, and it just he couldn't really get to where he wanted to go. He actually created some interesting characters. I think I like Darth Maul. I don't know if anybody else does, but I don't think they knew what to do with him. The music is one of the best scores out of all the movies. I mean, the final battle scene, and I forgot the name, the Duel of the Fates. I mean, they had just some great pieces, especially if you hear them live. But man, just a disaster when you watch it. I think there is just the bigotry, as Jeff said too, is just rampant throughout it. It's offensive when you watch it today. It didn't seem so much when I first watched. We were so excited when we first saw them in theaters. And then you watch them today with a different eye, and they're all three of them, I think, are pretty horrible. This one is the worst.
All right.
I
do agree with Darth Maul.
I can't believe they killed Darth Maul off in that too. He went with such a whimper that drove me crazy. Also,
but you know what?
Greatest teaser posters of all time for a movie. I thought, you saw Anakin as a little kid, the shadow of Vader.
Great poster. I still have.
So there's some good elements. You're right. You can pick little jewels out of it, but you could maybe have 20 minutes of the film and the best parts.
They did figure out what to do finally with Maul in Clone Wars cartoon, which was nice. It was a nice side. So that's a nice side to all those things. All right, Alan, what's your thoughts? Now you were saying Rise though, so if you want to give, you know what, I will give you. I'll give you a minute, or actually, I'll give you 2 minutes to do why the reason Rise is the worst one. Actually, how about that?
Okay, Rise of Skywalker is an abortion of a movie. It's awful. The movies that had come before it, by George Lucas and even J.J. Abrams previously, had a genuine love for the franchise, but also they understood the spiritual underpinnings of the franchise. If you want to get down to brass tacks, it's all fortune cookie philosophy. All right. It's basic stuff. But at least Lucas understands about Joseph Campbell. And I kind of disagree with the idea that Joseph Campbell wasn't present in the prequels, because it very much is present in the prequels. It's Lucas kind of deconstructing Joseph Campbell. But I feel like Rise of Skywalker is just everything that Abrams did. I think first off, and I know I just have that feeling in my stomach when we get to Last Jedi, there's going to be some interesting conversations. But the idea that this movie was directly contradicting everything, it's like no, we're gonna fix what Last Jedi screwed up, and the idea of the idea of Last Jedi saying that, hey, anybody could pick up the saber, anybody could be a part of this, and then this film says, oh no, it's Palpatine, his blood runs through Rey and all this other shit. I was really offended by that. I feel like J.J. Abrams is a guy who loves Star Wars, and he loves driving the Star Wars car. He has no idea how the engine works. Okay. Yep, that's my worst. I can't stand that movie.
we can tell. We can feel the heat from your engines.
Derek, what's your opinion? Just give us which one you think.
Well, one second. I'm going to go to Jamie first. Jamie, now you were Rise? Were you Rise as well?
I am Rise, yes. But I will say that I was very close to having Attack as my worst. I actually switched them at the last second. So I can get in on the Attack being the worst. I agree with everything Alan just said about Rise. The reason I ended up putting it at the end as the worst is because it really just drops the ball. For me, the first half of Attack of the Clones is completely unwatchable, but the second half I can watch. It's a little bit better. So for me, that's like half a movie. So I gave it a little bit more because at least it's half of kind of a good movie, where I don't feel there's anything good in Rise of Skywalker. It's a complete hodgepodge, a mess. And I too, and we can talk about Last Jedi when we get to it, but regardless of your feelings about that, I just hated the idea of watching JJ and the studio fix this and fix what Rian Johnson did. And so for that reason, and the reason that the movie just they really dropped the ball on the ninth, on the end of the whole saga. So
Right.
it's not unwatchable, but it's such a mess that I have it at my worst. But I can get behind Attack as well if I have to give up my Rise. For one of those two, I'd go with a Rise and Attack are far worse for me than Phantom.
All right. So essentially, we're looking at, Attack and Phantom is what we're looking at right here. So let's go between those two. Before I give my thoughts on this too, because usually Greg was going to be here to be the sway vote, so we're just gonna play around with this just a little bit here. So Jamie, I'm guessing you're on the Attack side, right?
I'll go.
So
if I have to choose, but
between
if
those
Rise
two
is out between Attack and Phantom, I go with Attack.
All right, Attack. Danielle, I'm guessing Attack as well.
Yeah.
Michael, still Attack.
Yeah.
Jeffrey, you're still holding strong with Phantom. Phantom. All right.
Yeah.
And then Alan, we're going to have you switch one way or the other. Are you Attack or Phantom?
I'm Attack. I actually kind of like Phantom. We'll talk about that in a minute.
All right. And then you know what? I am going to say, unfortunately, the same exact thing. Attack was just not my favorite. It was really bad. There was so many promises and need to be fulfilled after the first one that it just felt like such of a letdown. There was so many things that could have happened that just didn't. And because of that, I was really just unhappy as a whole with Lucas at that point. Like it started with a kind of a cool space battle, but then you have a lot of the whole sweeping stuff with Anakin and him growing up and finding love, and like overall, I wanted it to be better, and it just felt kind of flat to me on the whole. So that's kind
boring.
of my. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree that one is one of mine that is not going to. Is not going to one of the ones that I choose to rewatch. Let's just say
Lucas forgot the children. He forgot the kids. He did not make like the first Star Wars films. Children could identify with it and go on this incredible adventure. And then when Phantom Menace, it's all of a sudden went out the window. You had to watch Charlie Rose to understand what was going on. It completely changed everything. So I agree with you. He was doing something with Joseph Campbell, Power of the Myth, but it was like on a PhD level. It wasn't on a fairy tale level. So they all failed.
No, I agree. And, there's like I said, the merchandising was there for the first three, and that's really where Lucas's love comes into play more than anything else. We got a slew of brand new characters with brand new colors and all these extra little things you could already see Hasbro just foaming at the mouth on. But at the end of the day, I am going to say that the worst film was Attack. So it takes the first spot for us right there. Attack is the one that we should not watch again, if at all possible. Of course, when the next one comes out, we are going to do the whole thing where we decide to rewatch everything over and over and over again, and we're going to watch the first 11 to get to number 12, I guess. But let's just be honest with it. This one was a stinker.
No, they're not. In the news, they're not. They're disregarding all these films. Is the rumor from Disney?
Yeah,
that's the rumor.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Lucas said he wants to crack at his prequels. He wants his three.
Of course he does. He wants to be remembered. He's like, hey, remember me? I'm this billionaire over here that made this thing that you guys all love even more now. What's up?
But if the fans hate this so much, why not bring Lucas back? What a marketing tool. Would that be crazy? I love that.
I don't know. There's definitely something to be said for you had your turn. At this
tell
point,
that to Walt Disney. Tell that to Steven Spielberg. Now you're going to tell George Lucas, you had your turn. Yeah, right.
Well,
I don't think George Lucas wants
but let's just say The Mandalorian is proving he had his turn. Like there's people creating different things with his universe that I think is amazing. So let's not get into that. Let's go into the next one. Let's move on. So Attack of the Clones is officially out. It's gone. We've already used that, so it is the worst out there. But we go back now. So the next one on our list, if we take out Attack of the Clones, let's go through this list right now, and let's talk to Jamie. Jamie, what are we looking at next on your list? Is it still going to be Rise for you?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so next on my list was Attack. So do I go to the next one, or
no? You go. You go. If you hold your still.
Then go back to Rise.
Yeah,
I guess Rise is still the second
go
worst.
Away.
Okay, so then I'm still going to vote for Rise as the next worst.
Okay, so Rise of Skywalker still holds, and I'm guessing when we get to Alan, we're going to get to that same kind of feeling as well. But let's go to Danielle. Danielle, what are you at now? What's your next one out?
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Okay, so Phantom Menace is where we're looking next as the next film. Michael, what's the next one for you?
I changed after listening to the Rise of Skywalker talk, I did change the order of my list a bit. But that doesn't change the fact that for me, Solo, a Star Wars story, sits at this spot.
Okay.
Interesting.
Wow, all right, that's it. Okay, we're jumping. That's good. That's why we're here. All right, Jeffrey, what are we looking at for you? What's your next one? Is it holding for Phantom? Still Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace is the worst. So the second worst, you mean? Are we going down?
No. We hold with your worst still. So if you feel that Phantom Menace still deserves is still at the bottom of your pile of what you have left, that's the way we're going to look at it. So Phantom Menace for you, Danny. Are you still Phantom Menace?
I'm still Phantom Menace. Attack was my second worst, so we got that out of the way.
All right, and then we still have Rise too. So this one is going to be between Phantom and Rise. And so because we kind of heard a little bit about Phantom, we'll give you guys a little bit of time after. But let's go to Jamie and let's talk why Rise of Skywalker needs to be next on the worst to best list.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything that Alan and I just talked about Rise. It's a terrible ending to the whole overall arc. I hate that they went back and tried to fix what they presumed was wrong with Last Jedi. And, I don't like bringing in Palpatine. And it's just a mess. There are some scenes I like. I don't think that the Carrie Fisher stuff really works overall either. Obviously, we understand why. I think Rise is still the pound for pound, the most unsatisfying Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Pound for pound. All right. With that weight behind it, Alan, let's go to you to kind of finish up any other thoughts you might have come up on this film too. Is there anything else?
I knew I was
sway the rest of the people here too with Rise too.
I knew I was in for a shit show when they did the hyperspace skipping. All right, because they've established throughout all these movies, hey, hyperspace ain't something. It's not like dust and crops, boy. You have to do calculations, and you have to be careful. And then we have Oscar Isaac, who I love him, but the hyperspace skipping, just like, what the fuck is this? I'm sorry to curse, but that irritated the hell out of me.
Hey, watch your fucking mouth.
Yeah, watch my fucking mouth. I think the arc with Rey is very unsatisfactory. I think that they had set up Poe Dameron for some interesting things in the last film, and they kind of thumped on that. A lot of the stuff, I think the stuff they did with Finn, I love Finn as a character. I loved him in Force Awakens. He's the best thing in Force Awakens to me. And, no, I take that back. Rey is the best thing in Force Awakens, but he's really close second. But they kind of thumped on his story. And Luke is, I hated all of that. I hated all of it. But the thing to me the most, I'll wrap up, the thing to me the most is that it goes out of its way because J.J. Abrams thought this stuff would be cool to see, but it totally betrays everything we've seen before. This is a well-built universe. It's stacked like Lego bricks up into a skyscraper. You can't just play with the base of that. You're going to tumble everything down, and I think a lot of that gets played with.
And can I just add that the Chewbacca fake-out death is totally nonsensical. Like, it doesn't, like, you watch it again, it doesn't even make sense.
That is terrible. Yeah.
Like visually, you can't even follow it. Like what's happening.
Okay. Let's talk to Jeff now. And Jeff, I'm going to give you and Danny a minute each to kind of go over this. And this is funny because the person who has the power now to sway is going to be Michael in this regard, because we've got two on both sides. Your favorite friend Michael gets to help decide if he's on your side or if he's on the other side too. So we're doing Rise versus Phantom Menace here. That's where we've landed here too. So I'm putting 1 minute on the board for you right now, Jeff. Go.
So I'm supposed to debate why Phantom is worse than Rise?
Yep. Yeah.
That's it. Well, we kind of like said it already, It's because there's no fantasy element for kids in Phantom. Rise, as bad as it was, which first I thought it was so long, it just because as it got longer, it got more confusing. There wasn't anything linear in it that you watch on its own. All these movies should be able to be watched on their own as as entertainment. And Rise, I was like, what the hell is going on with this? But it still felt like Star Wars to me. While those first three movies, especially Phantom, it didn't feel like Star Wars to me. I didn't have that. I saw that fantasy element coming off Force Awakens and Last Jedi, but I didn't get that at all with the prequels. So, and again, it's all been said before with the confusing plot lines and the geopolitical, mess that was going on from Lucas's mind, the bigotry, the anti-Semitism, all that stuff, and I just could not stand anything about the Phantom Menace. I think that's where the rotten foundation for those prequels. But Rise of Skywalker is still enjoyable, I thought, but not overall satisfying. But I liked a lot of the action in it, so that makes it watchable. The prequels, you can't watch them. Maybe Sith, but the rest, you can't watch them.
All right, so Danny, going to you. Any more negatives for Phantom or any more positives for Rise by comparison?
For me, Rise is solidly in the middle of all of the films. So I can't put it at the bottom. I didn't hate it as much as some, but I didn't love it as much as the others. So I think it's a solidly middle, kind of mediocre Star Wars film. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. I hated Phantom. So I'm still standing with Phantom as the worst. And yeah, there you go.
Well said.
Can I spend like 30 seconds defending Phantom Menace?
Go for it. No, that's what we're here.
I don't think
Phantom Menace, do it.
No, I can defend it because
Go for it.
this, to me, with the anti-Semitism and the racism stuff, yeah, I can agree with that. And I think that was Lucas just not getting it. I think, he's had a secluded life. All right, he's a billionaire many times over at that point, and maybe he didn't even understand what he was doing. But on paper, the idea of the prequels of a democratic society falling into fascism, it's a really interesting story. I think that he flubs it on details. I do think that some of the acting isn't great. I think that some of the casting isn't great. But I will take Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan Kenobi any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Okay. I don't particularly like the actors that they chose to play Anakin, but I think that story, that arc, is interesting. It's not performed well, and Lucas has never been a good director when it came to actors like that. Anyway, even American
more of a
Graffiti,
writing problem than directing. It's more writing than directing.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would agree.
So I think that Phantom Menace is a more interesting film than people give it credit for, and it does have flaws. I ain't gonna lie. There's a lot of stuff that's broken in it, but the stuff that's interesting, the wider scope of the story that Lucas is trying to tell here, I think is a fascinating story, and it doesn't connect the dots all the way, but I still like it for that. I like the ambition of it.
I gotcha.
And in defense of Phantom, I'll also chime in and agree with Alan with everything you just said. All the negatives of Phantom I agree with, all the positives. And I'll also just say, and I know some people don't like the pod racing scene, but I actually find the pod racing scene to be very entertaining and exciting. And I love the fight with Darth Maul at the end of the movie. I think that's maybe one of the best lightsaber fights in all of the films. So for those reasons alone, I put Phantom Menace a little higher on my list. Not much, don't worry, but a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Michael, you have the power, as they say. So we are just throwing away your thought on Solo for right now. So between Rise of and Phantom Menace, who swayed you? Where are you going to land between these two? That which one's going to be a worse film?
So I'm actually going to use my Solo critique to kind of make this decision. So the reason I dislike Solo so much is because it's the only Star Wars movie where I kind of wanted to just fall asleep in the theater. Every other Star Wars movie at the time that I was watching it in theaters, I enjoyed it. Now, Attack of the Clones, I was a kid, so that's, to be expected. But for this one, it's the only, I really do not like Rise of Skywalker. But Rise of Skywalker, in the moment, I was actually pretty entertained, nitpicking little things. And then at the end, I was like, oh, wait, there's some problems here. With Solo, I was actively aware of the problems the entire time, partially because it was so just not grabbing me. And so all of the references and story logic just kind of destroyed me. And with Phantom Menace, I, to this day, really don't get bothered by most of the references. I don't think there's any really, really, really bad references. There's some bad ones, but there's nothing that really just takes me out of the movie. Rise of Skywalker is mostly either references, including the big bad is basically just one big reference, or it's poor storytelling. And there's some fun stuff in between there. There's some really good jokes. There's a few really quality action sequences. Some of the action is some of the best you'll find out of these two movies. But at the end of the day, Phantom Menace is a film that feels like something real and tangible that I can watch and say, okay, this is, yeah, as was said, it's a vision. It's, you know, he had an idea for this massive world and it was interesting. And Rise of Skywalker just seems like this weird corporate amalgamation of bullshit. So for me, even though obviously Solo belongs in the 10th spot, Rise of Skywalker goes there for me.
All right, so Rise of Skywalker. It looks like you guys did not grab the love or prove the hatred and the dark side that was Rise of Skywalker. Unfortunately, so with that in mind, I think we have to place it there, right? We have to place it. So Rise of Skywalker is next up. First, the worst is Attack. Next is Rise of Skywalker. And I think that's just the way it is. We have to just stomp this one out. So,
Yeah.
Good one.
all right. So from there, we're going into the next round of applause. All right. So Alan and Jamie, you got yours worst out. We know Jeff and Danny where their hatred still lies. So let's move on to the next one here. Jamie, what is your next worst on your list?
Well, I think I'm going to make Michael real happy with this one. I'm going to go Solo for the next worst for me. And I want to preface this by saying I actually don't hate Solo at all. I agree when I first saw it, I did find it a bit boring. I found it more enjoyable the second time I watched it. And I think I've even watched it maybe a third time and found that I kind of like parts of it. But I think it kind of comes down to, did we need this story? Did we need to know about the young Han? And obviously the answer is no. And I think a lot of the retcons that they put in don't really work for me character-wise with what we know of the character moving forward through the series. So there's a lot of stuff I like. I actually think I'd like it as almost an Elseworlds film, if you guys know what I mean by that. You talk a little DC Comics lingo there. You know, having it as its own thing, I would find, if it wasn't a Star Wars Han Solo story, I think I'd find it much more enjoyable as a movie. But for those reasons, I've got it next on my list.
All right. So the fact that they defined what a parsec wasn't enough for you? That didn't win you over 100% automatically?
I liked seeing Chewie and Han meet, although I think at the end of the day, everything that we learned about Han Solo in Solo isn't better than what my imagination could have created for how Harrison Ford's Han Solo was before we met him in the first Star Wars. So again, I don't dislike it. I mean, I think they took some big swings. Some of them hit, some of them don't. But overall, I just don't think it was necessary.
All right. So we got one for Solo. Danielle, what is your thought on next one down for you?
Oh, I had Rise of Skywalker higher up on my list. So, and Solo, I've got just a tad bit higher. So I'm still sticking. And while I could do without Solo, honestly, I'm still sticking with the Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace too. All right. So you do have Solo higher up on your list. You enjoyed it a little bit more, it sounds like, than maybe some of these other prequels that you got a chance to watch.
Well, I mean, the first three prequels were completely unwatchable. I mean, the only one of them that is remotely watchable, and I appreciate a lot more in light of the Clone Wars. And again, we have to have the 7-season animated series just to appreciate a film a bit more.
I think that's why I think I appreciate a little bit more too, is after watching the animation, it kind of really but I also read the books too. So there's a lot of stuff that comes about with all those things, you know. I can't tell you about talking to other people about, you know, wanting to see, you know, Thrawn and, you know, Mara Jade and all that stuff that comes into the other worlds. It would be amazing. But yeah, so let's do that. So Solo, I'm guessing, Michael, you were still on the Solo train as well. We're going to hold you there.
Derek, can I give a one name reason why Phantom needs to be next on this list, and that is the
Yes.
one that's been left off. That is Jar Jar Binks.
I knew it was coming.
It hasn't come up, so I am forced to bring it up.
You just don't know
Oh.
the list. The worst.
Overrated
Is the movie
issue.
gonna die? No, I know what.
You're gonna die?
It's gonna die. Yeah, it's you know I knew that was gonna come up, and I was wondering when it was gonna come up, and there's so many different reasons to not like that character as well. So it's interesting to see why people would just bring him up as a whole too. Trust me, even later on when he's supposed to be in the Clone Wars, when he's smarter and he's supposed to be a little bit better, they still make him a fool, and just to me it feels like the whole culture would just be like, well, I don't want to go to that planet.
It's
Like,
step
it's just
and
the dumb
fetch.
planet. I don't want to
It's
be
step
there.
and fetch. It's so obvious. It's step and fetch. It's so racist. What do you know?
Oh, yeah.
It says anti-Semitic, and then what are we doing? I'm like, you're kidding. I mean, I heard it the first time. I was appalled, and I'm like, you're not hearing this? And when he's talking like this, like Charlie Chan, I'm like, oh my God! I thought it was going to be outcried, and I can't watch him because I mean, it just burns in my brain every time I see that. I can't watch
Right.
it. It's offensive.
Yeah, I feel the same way about a lot of Transformers characters. Whenever I see them on screen, I'm like, how are you getting away with this? How is this not like people should be burning this right now? Like, I don't understand how this is still happening. All right, so we're moving away from that though. So we currently have I think we're at what, 2 solos and 3 Phantom Menaces. So where were you, Alan? Where are you on this?
I'm Phantom Menace on this. Like I
Phantom
said,
Menace.
I have things that I love about Phantom Menace, but the stuff that's bad is bad. And I'm Phantom Menace on this. I will say Solo's not far behind. I will say Solo's close.
And can
And
I just say, I'm interchangeable on these, Solo or Phantom. They're basically tied for me for this spot.
Yeah,
I agree.
Solo, to me, Solo looks like it's shot through mud. I can't stand the way that movie looks. And Alden Ehrenreich, he's a good actor, and other things I've seen, I just don't think he channels that character very well. But as a ride of a movie, I have a lot more fun with Solo than Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace is interesting to me on a lot of technical levels and storytelling levels, but it's still not great. It's still.
But Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor is great
Puppy.
later on.
Puppy.
No, it's
Puppy.
it's Phantom Menace on this one. And you'll see my next one Solo, but Phantom Menace on this one for sure.
Well, it's interesting because I do have some of the same issues with all this too. Although I will say that if Ewan McGregor just come in with a Kenobi on Disney Plus, I'm going to be the first one there because I read that book and I'm so excited to get into that world and like the in depth of all that because it looks so good. If it's done right and they spend the same kind of Mandalorian money on it, I think it'd be amazing. So that's kind of where I'm looking at that. But I can tell right now this is where we are. I'm sorry. It looks like Solo is once again solo on this one too. It's not with the crew. So we have
excuse me,
to.
I'm going to defend it because I'm a Western fanatic and it is a space Western. And I think it works brilliantly as a Western and it feels like a standalone movie. It doesn't feel like Star Wars to me, if that makes sense. It just feels like a sci-fi adventure. So I don't feel any connection to a Star Wars universe when I watch Solo, just because he's called Han Solo. I just love Woody Harrelson in that. I love all the attacks on the snow cars and all. I just think it's very, very exciting. I've watched it 4 or 5 times. And,
Well, if it makes you feel better, it's not going.
I don't feel Star Wars from it, though.
It's not going anywhere. We're going to be talking about it pretty soon. So I think if you hold off for a second, we're gonna get back to this
Everyone's
too.
bashing Solo, and it pisses me off.
No.
Because it sucks.
You'll have a chance to talk about it for sure too. But I think the one that took this right now, this one just needs to be smashed. Sorry, Phantom Menace.
You were up all night making those, weren't you?
No, the internet, my friend, it's out there. That's what it's for. It's for things like this, discussions like this, and graphics like that. That's what the internet's for. So let's move on.
Thank God
to
it's
our
not
next one
pornography.
here. And 99% pornography, but some Star Wars stuff too. I
Yeah,
don't want to
pretty much.
discount that.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right,
porn
so
is-
the next one
The
here.
Rancor excites me. All that dancing.
Yeah.
Jabba's
Let's talk. about the next one up. So Jamie, let's go with your first one. What's your on the list now? So
So I would have had Phantom in this spot for me, but they're interchangeable, Phantom and Solo. For me,
right.
Phantom has a couple, like I said before, it's got the duel at the end and the pod racing, so it's got a couple more things I like. But I also agree with Jeff. I mean, there's a lot in Solo that I did like. I'm a big Western fan, and I do like Woody Harrelson. I liked seeing Darth Maul in that. There's a lot of stuff I do like from it, but again, I just don't know that we needed a Solo movie. I don't know that, and I thought the actor was very good playing young Solo, but I just don't think we needed a young Solo. Like, I just think our imaginations would have filled that gap in the Star Wars time frame better than what that they did. And what would have been interesting is to see Lord and Miller's Solo.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Ron Howard's. Yeah.
Right. I don't know if we can have # release the Lord and Miller cut and get Disney Plus to run that. But
that's a lot more money though, because it wasn't just.
No, I know, because they didn't finish. I'm joking, by the way. Clearly, you didn't catch my sarcasm.
You got Clint Howard. You can't argue that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are things I like about Solo, but if I'm looking at it against the rest of the movies that we have to talk about, I'm going to go with Solo next.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of other stories. I mean, I recently reread Scoundrels, which was a fantastic book as well. So there's a lot of great stuff out there. All right, Danielle, are you on the Solo train as well?
Well, the one that I have on this slot is Solo, but also I have Revenge of the Sith just below that.
Okay, so Revenge of the Sith is where you're at. So that's what we're going for, the lowest here. So let's go. Revenge of the Sith. What is it about Revenge that deserves to be disliked more than Solo?
Well, I mean, they're probably both interchangeable for me. I'd have to see what I rated them on Letterboxd when I did the whole rewatch in December leading into Rise of Skywalker. But again, with Revenge of the Sith, you have to watch 7 seasons of an animated series to really appreciate that film for what it is. I mean, Order 66, you have more insight watching the final episodes of the Clone Wars. And then that one arc where the clone trooper kills the Jedi.
No, I see that, and there are a lot of issues that come about because of all those prequels and all the issues too, and the fact that, as you mentioned, there need to be a lot of fill-ins along that way too. So, all right, so Michael, Solo still holds a smaller, lower, darker part of your heart, correct, in a placement there?
Yeah, it's just so boring. Yeah,
I got you. I got you. Well, so you didn't enjoy the young Calrissian. You didn't enjoy the.
No, I did not.
None of that stuff.
I literally, my wife and I saw it, and we saw it at the Orleans, and we walked. Sorry, my dog's going crazy right now. We saw it at the Orleans, and immediately walked to the bar, that little Irish bar across the street, and we had a friend come by who hadn't even seen the movie yet, and we all just had a psychotherapy session about how disappointed we are in this film. So no, Solo stays in the spot, 100%.
All right, so all right, Jeffrey, your Phantom Menace is gone. So and we've already heard a little bit about your love of Solo. So what's your next worst film as we move from worst to best?
I would go with Sith. I mean, because they all are strung together. All the prequels are together. While there are much better action sequences or watchable elements in Sith, especially the final duel, I just think they're all daisy chained together. It's all one prequel mess, that I can find stuff to watch in each film, but you can't watch them as wholes because either they're boring, they don't make sense, but there are great little islands of adventure in all 3 of those films. And Sith has the best one ever, is that final battle on the volcano planet. I just love that. I really do. If it's on, I'll stop and watch that, but everything else, no. So I'm going with Sith. All the prequels are together.
Okay. Well, apparently neither one of them has a high ground yet. Danny, where are you at on this?
I'm throwing Sith under the bus on this one.
Okay.
I don't think any of the actors have still learned to use green screen at this point. Some of the performances, even some of my favorite actors like Natalie Portman, I mean, these guys just turned in lousy performances, mostly probably because of bad directing, if I had to guess, bad writing as well. There are some moments that I like, but there's moments I like in every single one of these films, all 11 of them. And I enjoyed Solo. Now, I saw Solo twice in theaters. It's not at the top of my list, by the way, but it's further up the list than here. I think both times I saw it, it was at the Alamo Draft House, and there was a special Star Wars drink. I think it was called the Blaster, and I had many of those, and it makes the film a lot more enjoyable. So I'm going to say that it's higher on my list, and Sith is way down.
I was not told there was going to be an alcohol quotient added into these factored into these decisions
nowadays.
Right. Well, I think maybe that was your issue when you were watching Rise of Skywalker. You weren't drinking blue milk. Maybe that was.
I should have been drinking. I should have been drinking
less.
liquid heroin. Is what I should have been drinking.
All right, so well, looks like we have
comes in liquid form.
Revenge of the Sith are where we're going right now. Alan, are you gonna go one side or the other on this one, or are you going off on your own here?
I'm going on Solo. It's gonna be a tie. It's Revenge of the Sith versus Solo. I will say at this point in the roster, I like every one of the films that are coming up. Yes. I like Solo. I just have a lot of problems with a lot of the things. Like I said, it looks like crap. It's shot really bad. And I know it's trying with this Western aesthetic, and I understand that. But you can't see anything that's going on in the first half of the movie. None of it looks appealing, and there's no spatial geography that makes any sense. I don't like the way the movie looks. That's a really big factor to me. But I do like a lot of it. I love Woody Harrelson. Alden Ehrenreich is pretty good. He's not Harrison Ford, and who is? So there's not much you can say about that. But when you toss up between Revenge of the Sith and Solo, for me, I'll get to it when we, I guess, talk about it a little later. But Revenge of the Sith has some really interesting stuff going on. Again, I think there's some interesting stuff going on in the prequels that I really like. So Solo doesn't quite make it in comparison.
I got you. And that's one of the things that I was really thinking about, too, is you have to kind of think about moments and also the entirety of it, too, because there's a lot of great stuff that I did enjoy from Solo. I didn't hate him. What?
Benicio del Toro. What a great moment.
Yeah, but Benicio del Toro's and the whole racing and them going to a whole nother planet to make that stuff happen kind of thing. And wait, that was another one. Sorry, I was thinking about something else.
Yeah.
Last Jedi.
I thought we had gone forward in the conversation.
I was thinking about things I didn't like. So I was just thinking about things I didn't like. Okay, so let's just start. Let's just go to the fact that when it came to Solo as a whole, I like the idea about him expanding and kind of trying to tell a little bit about him. I just didn't like where they came from initially and the story arc of everything as well. I was tickled when they, like I said, when they explained the whole parsec thing and how it was supposed to work. Putting that whole 30 years of like parsec's not the same way you guys think it is. It doesn't mean the same thing. So every nerd can kind of take that down a notch now. But it was definitely one of those films that I really did want to enjoy more. And so I think that at the end of the day, I think I am going to be. I'm going to be on the Solo train, which is grammatically not correct. And I am not Solo on this train. So Solo is the next one here. And I'm sorry, it just is. So we have Attack, we have Rise. It just is. I'm sorry. This is the way I feel on it. And
that's what I learned in my philosophy class for argument. It just is.
Well, but that's the way I feel because of a bunch of different things too. There's a lot of reasons too, and there are things in Sith that I did really enjoy that I do still remember avidly, and that's kind of the reasoning for some of my thoughts when it comes to this. But be that as it may, I'm choosing Solo as well. So let's look at Solo and let's just say that Solo needs to go away. So let's just do this. Yeah. Bye, Solo. So long, Solo. So Solo is gone. We are 4 down. Let's speed up now a little bit, and let's go to the next one on our list. And let's not say the worst films anymore. Let's just say the ones we like better. That's kind of where we're going from this, because we're all Star Wars fans, and we all get a taste of something we do like one way or the other. Some of these, if we like hot dogs, we can go to Nathan's, but sometimes you're eating a 7-Eleven hot dog, and sometimes that's okay. And that's just the way it
That's
is.
Oscar Mayer, by the way.
Okay, well, I don't want to. I'm not going to make this argument about 7-Eleven hot dogs. But let's just go
Good.
let's go to Jamie. What's next on your list? Is it Revenge for you?
It is Revenge, and I just want to echo something Alan just said. I mean, pretty much after Phantom, every one of these movies I enjoy and I like. So it is kind of just pulling at things here. But I go with Revenge of the Sith. Sort of echo what Jeff said. Kind of the prequel thing. So we kind of get all those out of the way. And there is stuff I really like in Sith. Clearly, it's the best of the 3 prequels. I really enjoy, pretty much the last, hour, last 45 minutes is really cooking. And even the beginning that I think where they're trying to save Dooku or save Palpatine from Dooku, that whole beginning sequence is really cool too. So there's a lot of stuff to like in Sith. But for me, it doesn't weigh up with the other 5 or 6 films that we're going to be talking about that are left.
All right, and then we go down to Danielle. Danielle, you still hold with Sith as well, correct?
Well, seeing as how Solo has been taken out from the list, it's going to be Revenge of the Sith. But, I mean, I do want to say one thing about Solo.
Okay.
The one thing that definitely doesn't work for the casual fan is they're going to the film assuming Darth Maul is dead and that he hasn't been brought back to life in Clone Wars. And then all of a sudden, you see him on screen towards the end of the film.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I would argue, does the casual fan even know who Darth Maul is? Or do they just recognize him in Solo as a Star Wars person? Like, do you know what I mean?
They know.
But do they
everybody knows who because Darth Maul was, he was the prequel guy. Like, I think most people out of all 3 movies, no matter the quality level that we all agree on, I think everybody remembers Darth Maul the most out of everything from those films.
Fair enough. Then a better question is, does the casual fan care that they don't know how he got back?
I can assure you no.
So that's my point.
Is there such thing as a casual fan though?
Exactly.
I think
my mom.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my mom's a casual fan.
Okay. I'm so
Let's
deep
not
in
label moms here.
I'm so deep in the Star Wars hole. I don't know what casual fan is in comparison. So yeah. But I don't think anybody knows who that is either. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we got 2 for Revenge of the Sith. Michael, where are you at?
Well, first off, I just want to say something. I'm really I was really unsure about doing this today because I'm not a big fan of talking about Star Wars because it's generally a just septic tank of grossness. But this has been really good so far. And I think a lot of these choices, even if we disagree about the order, I like that this is where the bottom chunk went, and now we're in stuff that's more enjoyable. And I'm assuming that no one is going to be hating on anything from this point on. That's my guess anyway.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Anyway, yeah, Revenge of the Sith. Fuck that movie. It's fine, but fuck that movie.
All right, so Revenge of the Sith for Michael, with a little emotions from the robot. That's good. You should put a little oil out there. Jeffrey K. Howard, how about you? What's happening?
Oh yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. All right.
It's like once we get the prequels out of the way, then like Michael said, then there's a level of admiration for all of these films because they're in Star Wars canon. But these prequels have got to be eliminated. They don't exist.
We're in the light. We're over Cloud City at this point. All right, gotcha. Go ahead, Danny.
Revenge of the Sith. I mean, one of the characters we haven't talked about yet, and again, makes 0 sense to me. It was cool looking, but General Grievous. Oh, so Darth Maul has 2 lightsabers. Let's create a robot with 4 lightsabers. It just made no sense to me at all. Glad to see him gone, and I would like to see this movie buried.
Well, Dooku's cool.
He was crappy too for having so many hands.
Christopher Lee's cool too, though. You got, anything with Christopher Lee. He was fantastic in that.
He's good for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, him and fighting Yoda, that's worth it right there.
Yeah, the whole Yoda fight was the big thing as well, of course, too. And then the, seeing a bunch of Wookiees coming in to fight as well.
Again, nothing to do with the movie's story. It's just these little islands of cool stuff that happens in those films. You don't. No one I know watches the whole thing. They go, "Hey, check out Yoda's battle. Hey, check out the volcano battle." That's all I would do.
All right, Alan. So we're looking. We're on the revenge train.
Yeah.
Are you there? Or
No.
Somewhere else.
It's Force Awakens.
Force Awakens.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna. You know what? Since you are against the rolling tide here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to tell us why Force Awakens.
Well, there's a lot that I love about The Force Awakens. I love Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is on. When you get him on, he's wonderful, and he's having a blast. The camaraderie between the characters is great, and especially the new characters. I love Kylo Ren. I love the idea behind him that he's just this petulant kid. I love a lot of The Force Awakens, but it's not its own movie. It's just not. It's a rehash of Star Wars all the way through it. Abrams loves Star Wars. He loves the original Star Wars film, and I understand that. I love it too. We all do. And he remade it. I think that if he had found the camaraderie and these interesting characters and made something a little different, a little outside the box, I think it would have been a more interesting film. I know what the job of the movie is. It was to bring people back who were jaded from the prequels to come back to Star Wars, and they had to pin those pieces on the board. Okay. And I understand that, but I love it. I think it's a great film, but in the end, I don't like it as much as Revenge of the Sith. I just don't. I think Revenge of the Sith is really, really interesting. I think that it has things that outweigh the bad. The stuff that I think the shot of Anakin looking across Coruscant, and Padme looking across to him, is one of the most moving moments in the entire saga. And Anakin's fall, I think, is really done really well. I think I may be basing a lot of it because I do love the Clone Wars television series. I think that they had taken the last 4 episodes of the Clone Wars and made a movie out of it and released it theatrically, it would have been amazing, but they didn't. So I may be letting the Clone Wars inform Revenge of the Sith more than it needs to. But when I put these movies side to side together, I just like Sith more. Just a little bit more, but I like it more.
Okay. Well, that's a good thing. And I want to make sure, is there anything else you want to say about Sith? Because it feels like this might be the last time you could talk about it during this one.
I know. This is a losing battle. I understand. But I'm fine with it. But that's not a problem. I mean, I could totally see why people don't like, and well, I won't say don't like, but it's easily the best of the prequels. I think everybody can agree on that. I just think that the finishing arcs of Anakin, there's some really tragic, great moments in it. I think you actually get some decent acting out of Hayden Christensen, I just like it. I like the way the story wraps itself up and puts us right square in the middle for Star Wars. I love Force Awakens. I do. I just think that as a whole, Sith is more satisfying to me personally.
Real quick, just to say what everyone's been commenting on the animated series real quick. I'm just saying the way the studios work, they're territorial. So theatrical has nothing to do with television, and they will never merge the two. They have their own storylines, their own attitude, and I agree with you. Some of those, if they took those and did that, but they would never do that because they're completely two different divisions, and they have their own egos. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, it seems that we are we know the tide of this battle, and we're gonna have to wait, and maybe the next generation could win this battle on Revenge of the Sith. But right now, Revenge of the Sith is it. That's it. I'm sorry, this one has to go. Let's talk placement now. It is right around the middle when it comes down to it too. So I think I kind of felt that way when it came to Revenge of the Sith as well. This is kind of my my center square where I come back to. Let's just get over it, get through it, and we have the higher ground to kind of choose how this all works. I use that joke already, but I like saying the higher ground. It's a funny meme. So goodbye, Revenge of the Sith.
yeah.
All right. So let's talk the next one here. We are a bunch down. Next on our list, like I said, we're no longer worst. We're just ones we enjoy more. So where are we looking? I'm going to take my own clock off there. Where are we looking, Jamie? What's your next one on your list as we go up to the top and the best?
Yeah, so next I'm going to go with Rogue One. I like Rogue One a lot. I will say that I found it somewhat slow and a little boring the first time I saw it. Subsequent viewings, I've enjoyed it a lot more. It's one of those films I feel like has really grown with me. So that's great. So that's why it's actually higher on my list now than it probably would have been in years past from reviews. There's a lot I really like about it, but I think for sort of the slowness and, you know, at the end of the day, you are telling a story about a plot hole from the first movie. So it felt like some of the film is really just to cover up, you know, it didn't seem like that was to me like a real meaty thing to choose from the Star Wars history to sort of explode into this film. But there's a lot I like about it. I like the characters. I think it loses a little bit for me when she goes on the journey to Forest Whitaker. That kind of stalls out a little bit for me. Otherwise, I really enjoyed it, but just I enjoyed the other 5 movies a little bit more than this one. So I reluctantly have to put it here on the list.
Okay, that's it. All right, so Rogue One is our first one here as we topple over the midpoint. So Danielle, where are you next on your list?
I'm also going with Rogue One. It's my favorite of the 5 prequels / anthology stories. I mean, it does introduce some concepts that you never saw in a Star Wars film, and immediately you see them happening in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, I see that too.
At the same time, I mean, outside of those characters that we see late in the film, you really have characters that you only have to invest in for the running time because you're not going to see them again.
Which is a little sad too, because some of these, I thought they were great. I thought that this cast actually delivered for a one-off story, and them knowing it was a one-off story, they delivered a good movie. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff about this. Like, to me, this is one of those things that should have been in Disney Plus if Disney Plus was out already, and we could have been into like season 8 of it already and still been happy with the quality and the story that we're getting out of it. But you know, this was all everyone keeping everything to themselves, and Netflix hadn't really invested into Star Wars as much that time, so it wasn't going to happen. So we have 2 for Rogue One. Michael, where are you right now?
Oh man, Rogue One is way higher on my list.
Yeah, same.
That's good. That's good.
I'm gonna go with Force Awakens. I think it's probably the one that's the least of its own, I guess. Of the remaining films, it's the one that feels the most just like been there, done that, but still pretty good movie. I think, you know, one of Abrams' best, certainly, films, not just Star Wars films, obviously. But it's you know, it's pretty good, just not that good.
I got you. No, that's where we are right now. So we have Force Awakens, we have 2 Rogue Ones, and I feel we're going to get another Force Awakens soon too. So Jeffrey, let's talk to you. What's next on your list?
Mine's Rise of Skywalker.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, so I liked Rogue One. I love the standalone stories. I think that's where Star Wars should go. No more of these trilogies, you know, because people binge now, because it's not like it was, you know, 35 years ago. We had to wait 3 or 4 years in between films. So I love Rogue One, and also being a fan of the original film. So many people died to bring us this information, and the beginning with Princess Leia. I thought when they said they were going to, the origin of the Death Star plans and how Princess Leia got them, I thought that was a brilliant idea. So no, Rogue One's way higher up on my list. But, you know, Rise of Skywalker, you know, yeah, right.
But we already took that one out of the list, didn't we?
Did?
We did. We took it out. That's gone.
It's number 10.
Oh, we did. Oh my God, I didn't stretch it out.
Dead, yeah.
So your least likes.
I'm sorry.
Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
Force
so
Awakens.
Rise of Skywalker is out. Many Bothans died for that movie, so that's just the way it has to go.
You know, yeah, but Force Awakens then, that's the next one, because
Okay,
I
Force
can't
Awakens.
stand when they pander to us with the lines from the original film. That just, it's not funny to me. I got a bad feeling about this. I hate when they do that. You know, like, oh, hey, that's from the first film, remember? You know,
That's a running gag through all of them, though.
I know, but I can't stand that. But Force Awakens really, really scraped up the nostalgia and just threw it in your face, and I hated that. So,
All right. All right. So we have 3 for Force Awakens, 2 for Rogue. And I'm already out, and Alan's going to be there too. So, Danny, where are you on this one? Where are you on the Rogue versus Force, or do you have something on your own here?
My next film would be Last Jedi.
Last Jedi. Okay.
I had some big problems with Last Jedi. I've watched it multiple times since, and I like it more as I watch it. One of the worst things for me is Laura Dern's performance. I think it's her worst performance in the last decade. And I also did not like Carrie Fisher in this movie. So I didn't like that whole drama between Poe and them. I thought it was silly. And I had some real big issues with it. However, Rogue One's way high on my list. So I would put Last Jedi. I mean, Last Jedi is still a good film. It's the next on my worst list.
Oh, well, as soon as
if you're an original person who saw the original films, Jedi is like, there's a special place in your heart for that movie. That's what I'm trying to say. That's just like, if you saw the original films. I mean, when they came out.
I'll have a full-on dissertation about Last Jedi, but we'll get into that. But
Yes.
All right, so Last Jedi, as much as you're bringing that into the fray, it looks like I saw so many Keene Keene people who are just like, nope, he doesn't get it. He just doesn't get it. It's like someone who's like, you don't get blue cheese. You have to really enjoy. You have to enjoy how pungent it is. That's the best part about it.
Yeah, or cilantro. It's like cilantro.
It's cilantro. It's a little bit of cilantro. Although there's genetics too, where some people just taste cilantro differently. Yeah. I want to say this is more than just a taste thing. So, so Alan, I'm guessing we're going to Force Awakens with you as well, correct?
Force Awakens. Rogue One is higher on my list. Rogue One is the first time. I mean, not really the first time, but all these films are so influenced by Akira Kurosawa. And Rogue One is full of Kurosawa. I mean, it's basically Seven Samurai. I mean, it's so awesome. I just watched it yesterday. I thought it was a really great movie to watch for July 4th. It's a movie about rebellion and fighting for independence. And I adore Rogue One. I love it. And so Force Awakens is mine on this one.
All right, so Force Awakens.
Hey, Derek, can I say something in defense of Force Awakens, even though it's about to go?
I think you can. Here, I'm going to give you 1 minute.
Give me 1 minute. So I'll just say it's my next one, and they could be very interchangeable to me, Rogue or Force Awakens. So, but I just want to say Force Awakens, for me, is maybe, and I agree with everything you guys have said, like it is beat for beat the same as the first Star Wars, and I think it is J.J. Abrams' best movie, maybe of all his movies that he's directed. But that being said, I find it the most rewatchable of all the Star Wars movies for me, short of the original 3. So short of the original 3, I could pop a Blu-ray in of Force Awakens right now and start watching it, do other things in the house while I'm watching it, while it's on, and it's extremely enjoyable to me. So that was why it was just a little bit higher on my list than Rogue One, because it took me a few viewings to find Rogue One as enjoyable as I found Force Awakens. But that being said, completely understand. Bye-bye, Force Awakens.
Well, and that's just the way it is too. As much as I enjoyed Force Awakens, I feel like Force Awakens also made a lot of promises that it just didn't keep. Like Poe Dameron, for one of them. Like there was so much ramp up of who he could have been and the things that could have happened with him, and it just left it really flat. I mean, a lot of characters in the final 3 kind of had a lot of flatness to them of what they were promised originally in Force Awakens, and then what kind of came about. Which we got into with Rise of the Skywalker and things like that too. The answers they gave us just didn't feel as good as they should have, and that, I don't know if that was how deep of fans we are, or maybe it's something that's maybe more based upon the fact that maybe they just didn't care enough about those to kind of give us what we wanted to. So I think that it's interesting that we kind of run through all those movies to come to this one, this new reinvention, but also I guess, a reimagining at the same time of stuff we've already seen. So just to say it, okay, so the next one up is going to be Force Awakens. I mean, that's just the place. That's the place for it. It's not terrible, but it's not. It's not necessarily the best film that makes us want to, talk about Star Wars. That's not the one we tell people to watch anywhere near the first or even in the top 3. And as you can tell, that's why it takes its place right here too. So let's give Force Awakens here its own send off as well. So Force Awakens, we will say bye. Let's also give you another smash. Smashy. All right, so Force Awakens is gone. All right, so Force Awakens is gone. We are done with that one. Let's move on to the next here. We talked before about Rogue One and Last Jedi, so let's see who holds true and who had some differences. Jamie, where are you at right now? Rogue One?
With Awakens out, I'm going to stick with Rogue because my next film would be an original trilogy, and I don't think any of those are. I don't think Rogue One is better than any of those. So,
Okay.
I'm going to, for all the reasons I've already given, I'm going to stick with Rogue One.
All right, so Danielle, are you still with Rogue One too, I think?
Yeah, I am also sticking with Rogue One. I had Force Awakens higher on my list, and the next one up is Return of the Jedi.
All right, so we know we're going next. So we have 2 for Rogue One already. This is getting easier as we go along here. Of course, we all let's just get away from that. Michael, what's the next one for you?
I don't get too emotional with these things. I don't really worry too much about it. So I'm going to say Return of the Jedi.
Wow, he's jumping. He's jumping into the originals.
Not an amazing film. Very good film. I would even go so far as to say it's bordering on great, but it is a heavily flawed conclusion.
And so I guess the question is, what is it about this that makes it a little bit higher up than Rogue One for you? I mean, is Rogue One that much higher for you, or is it just something where this kind of just happened by chance that these two, this is where you're going?
I think Rogue One's just a better made film. Like I look at all of these, like I grew up on Star Wars, like 98% of Americans. And I do love the original trilogy. I do enjoy watching it straight through. But I also recognize when a film devoid of its placement in time, devoid of where it might sit in my nostalgia factory upstairs, I can tell when it's, flawed. And I think that, most of the stuff on Endor or the moon of Endor or whatever, is aggressively silly. And there's a lot of plot holes. A lot of it, the last chunk is a lot of just retreading. I don't think that bringing the Death Star back was a particularly inspired move. There was a bunch of other problems I had when I rewatched it before Rise, but I don't recall all of them right now. That being said, it's still a very fun film, and it has a lot going for it. Jabba's palace, that whole chunk is phenomenal. But at the end of the day, I think it's just a very it has a lot of good and a lot of bad. And I think Rogue One, meanwhile, is predominantly good with like a few little seeds of bad here and there.
Sure. All right. Well, first I have to say that's no moon, just to bring in the dialogue correctly.
Wrong film.
And then let's go to Jeffrey here. All right. So we have 2 Rogue Ones, 1 Return of the Jedi. Where do you land, Jeffrey, on this next one?
Again, I'm keeping the trilogy, the original, high on my list. And since I've won many a bet by telling people they never say the word Ewok in Jedi, I've won many bets with that. But I'm going to go with Rogue One. So
okay, so Rogue One,
I agree with Michael. He's like, how do they build a second Death Star? And I always think of Clerks. When they blew it up, it was all servicemen and repair guys. So, but I'm like, how in the world did they build another one of these things so fast? So that was there was a lot of flaws in it, but I was caught up in being 16 years old and seeing that first run and the energy from that movie. So I have a different perspective on it. And Rogue One is, I might watch it again tonight. I haven't watched that in a long time. So, but Rogue One's next on my list.
Well, if you hate the whole idea of having a second one quickly, do not watch the movie Contact again, because you'll be reminded of just a huge, just terrible, stupid plot hole.
I love Contact. That's brilliant.
Yes, well, ready to go. Next up for Danny here. Danny, what is your thoughts here? What's your next one on the list?
I'm sticking with Last Jedi for my next one. I loved Rogue One. It's in my top 3. Ben Mendelsohn is one of the greatest villains in the entire franchise. It's the only story that truly stands alone in the entire franchise. I mean, it's based on a line of dialogue from a movie. And I think, to Alan's point on The Seven Samurai, I just think it's a wonderful film. I may watch it again tonight. Haven't seen it in a while. And it's just a terrific film. So I would put it higher on my list, but we're getting to the point where those films are going to be discussed. So
well said.
All right. And Alan, where are you? What's next on your list right now?
I'm going with Michael. I agree with him. I think Return of the Jedi. I do think the stuff on Endor is a bit silly. As a kid, I liked it. I was 13 when I first saw it, and 13 is when you really kind of discovering girls, and so you realize that stuff is a little silly. It gets a little silly, at least it was for me. But the stuff that I love about Return of the Jedi is always the Luke and Vader stuff. The Luke and Vader stuff is chef's kiss perfect. Everything about that, I can quote it. I adore that stuff. That stuff is a beautiful resolution of that story, and that's why I boost it so high. But I like Rogue One more. I as looking as a trying to mix my Star Wars passion with my critical faculties is a little difficult. But I do think Rogue One is a better film. I think it works better, and we get Donnie Yen in a Star Wars movie. Yeah. Donnie Yen in a Star Wars movie. I mean, why don't I'm all there if they want to do Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, Chow Yun Fat. Put them all in a Star Wars movie. I'm there. I'll love it. I'll watch it night and day. I think that Return of the Jedi is a film that more so than Star Wars and Empire is a film that's a little more made by committee, because that money from those sales of those toys was coming in, and I feel like it was a lot of commercial stuff, a lot of toys being sold. So
it didn't feel personal like the other films. Yeah, it felt like a big tentpole movie, and it had a totally different vibe from the first two. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I feel like that. But the Luke Vader stuff, I've seen Return of the Jedi very, very many times. That stuff always makes me cry every time. It's perfectly executed. So when I put Return of the Jedi here, it's not because I don't love it, because I love it. But I do think Rogue One is a little bit a better crafted movie, even though Rogue One had tons of reshoots and tons of fights between different people working on the film. I think the end product is just a little more solid and a little more directed in its storytelling than Return of the Jedi.
Hey, Derek,
right, so
if you want, I can sell out here. I can put, because Return of the Jedi.
Well, that's what I was going to do. I was going to actually go right here and say, is there anyone here who wants to take a minute to try to turn Danny's vote one way or other to Rogue or Return right now? So if anyone has a minute.
It's Return. So, let's just do it. It's Return.
Okay. Well, you went to Return, but now it's 3-3 now is the problem. So we're doing 3-3. And so now it's going to come to me. Exactly. So that's where it's going to be right now, apparently. So let's talk about Return of the Jedi and Rogue One. At the end of the day, as much as I do enjoy the original trilogy, I am going to fall on that sword and say that it is about moments. There's a lot of things that I didn't need. There's a lot of merchandising I didn't need. There's a lot of cute little beans running around in fur that weren't named till later that I didn't need. So there were a lot of issues that I was not happy with when it came to Return of the Jedi, but I also grew up with it. So you gave a lot of leeway as you grew up with things that, that at that time. So I will say that I do enjoy Return. I do like it. It was not the 100% best ending for everything, but it was the ending that I grew up with and I loved. That being said, I feel that overall a better movie is Rogue One. It is slightly better in my regard in some things for sure. The storytelling, some of the acting as well, and not to mention just where it took us on its own with just a small little portion, like you said, being based off a line in a movie to be made into this kind of movie itself with so many tastes of amazing characters. So I am going to say that I'm going to say Return is probably going to be where I'm next. So let me actually change this up. I thought it was going to be Force. I didn't think Danny was going to change. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this right here, and I'm going to say
those furry creatures have a name, man. It's Warwick Davis.
It's not all Warwick Davis first and foremost. So
he's the lead Ewok.
He's the lead Ewok.
Yeah,
Here's
Warwick.
Let's go here.
Willow.
Yeah.
Willow. All right, so Return of the Jedi is where we are going to be there. So let's just say Return of the Jedi is the next one. We love it. We enjoy it, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it kind of falls a little bit to the wayside compared to some others too. So let's just have a little fun here, and let's just do another. Let's do another X-wing crash. Why don't we? Kaboom. All right.
Got it. There was Porkins.
We are moving through here. I really feel like the end. I'm not even going to say what the end movie is. We all kind of know what is going to be the best. That's going to be a lot quicker. So we're getting through these quicker now. So let's go to the next one. We have Return of the Jedi is gone. So I'm guessing Jami, Danielle, you are still Rogue One, correct?
I would stick with Rogue One. I'll just say I had Return of the Jedi next after Rogue One for me. And, Return of the Jedi, I love that first half hour in Jabba's hut is amazing. And the end stuff, I think someone already mentioned it, with Luke battling Palpatine and Darth Vader is incredible. But that whole middle part for me with Endor is why it's just... a little bit below the other films for me. So I'll stick with Rogue One.
Okay.
As my next film.
All right. Rogue One. Danielle, are you still on Rogue One?
I'm still sticking with Rogue One, and a lot of it comes down to the nostalgia factor with Return of the Jedi.
I gotcha. All right. Next up, Michael. Where you go next?
This was tough. This is between two movies, and one of them just is a little bit too much more meta and has a few many more kind of lacking moments. So I'm going to go with Rogue One.
All right, Rogue One again. So we have Rogue One, 3 for Rogue One. Jeffrey, where are you on Rogue One? Is that going to be as well? Are you staying on this train?
Yep, Rogue One.
Rogue One. All right, Danny.
Standing by.
I'm the turn the punch bowl, man. Last Jedi. I got to throw
Last Jedi. You still holding Last Jedi. Well, I understand. You know what though? That's why you're here. You gotta give what your thoughts. And there's some little kid out there in Nebraska going, yeah, Last Jedi. That's not the yeah. So
Yeah,
he's out there. He's out there.
Obama and tries to save the universe. Okay, all right.
All right. Last up is Alan. Alan, where are you on this?
I'm Rogue One. Rogue One is a great film. I love it, and this is exactly where I think it should be.
All right, fantastic. All right, so Rogue One, I think, is where we're going to fall on this one. Danny, we'll see where everyone else has Last Jedi. I feel like we're going to be talking about it very, very soon somehow. I don't know how or why that came into my mind, but I feel like that's probably going to be where we're going to land. So, but let's just say Rogue One is the next one that has to go. Rogue One.
Last Jedi.
Rogue One.
Freudian slip.
Sorry. That was my fault. All right, you know what? Let's get back away from there. Let's go back.
Playing your hand there, Derek. Showing us your cards there, Derek.
I'm running ahead of the road here.
That was the force on Derek.
Right, you go.
I didn't see that.
All right, so Rogue One is where we're gonna go with this one, and let's just do another Vader smash on it too. Smashy. Bye, Rogue. Felicity, you are hot. And Donnie, you are awesome. But we will move away from that one. And actually, let's look at our placement map here. And let's get that updated. And there it is. Rogue One, where it should be. We are down to the final 3. Some great films already. And we've got to get our reasons, and now we get into the best of the best, the ones we love, the ones we rewatch all the time. So let's start talking about them. Next one up on this list, I feel like Last Jedi is going to fall pretty much into line here, and I don't know why, but let's just say I feel that way. Are you feeling that way, Jami?
I am. I love Last Jedi. I just want to start off by saying I absolutely love Last Jedi. It's my favorite of the sequels. I obviously enjoy it more than the prequels. I know that there's a lot of fans that have problems with this film. Obviously, we know this. But just everything about it, I really, really like. There's everything. I would say the only thing that really doesn't work for me is when Finn and Rose go off, and the thing with Benicio and the gambling kind of planet, that sort of side trip was a little, I could have done without that. But otherwise, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the things that Rian Johnson did with the film. I liked him saying, these unanswered questions from the first film don't really matter. Here's the answers I'm going to give you. And, you know, we talked about it before. Part of the reason why Rise of Skywalker, I think, is so low for me is because of just the sort of complete ignoring of everything that came before it. And I like a lot of the things that came before it. So Last Jedi is my third pick overall.
Fantastic. All right, so Last Jedi, we got a first one on that train. Danielle, where are you? Same thing?
Yeah, I mean, my third one is The Last Jedi, but for me, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Last Jedi, they're all interchangeable. I mean, I love them all. I mean, outside of the original trilogy, The Last Jedi is my favorite film of the prequels, of the sequels. Yeah, I love what Ryan did with it. I mean, I was blown away when I saw it in theaters back in 2017. I mean, one of my favorite film festival experiences was being on the red carpet at South by 2018 for The Director and the Jedi. I mean, if you told me growing up that Luke Skywalker would be tying his shoes less than 3 feet in front of me, I would have said, you're kidding. And sure enough, 2018, Mark Hamill was tying his shoe right in front of me.
Cool.
Well, if you would have told yourself, you'd be like, why are you talking about tying shoes? There's other things we could talk about. What's he doing there? Tell me about it. But yes, I understand what you're saying. And luckily I got a chance to talk to Mark Hamill 3 or 4 times as well. Sundance being one of them. And he was just the nicest, coolest guy. And of course, anytime you can get him to do the Joker voice just makes me giggle. So I'm a big fan of that. So we got 2 for Last Jedi. Are you on this train, Michael? Or are you gonna take a sidecar here?
You know, Last Jedi is actually tied for first place for me. I'm gonna go Star Wars: New Hope.
Wow, you are going off the rails here. And that's interesting too, because a lot of people are on this exact train. Like they see these movies being this way. Maybe not Last Jedi, but the last 2 tend to fall in the same kind of realm. And Jeffrey, we're sorry we're calling it the New Hope, but it is the New Hope. That's the
Which
brand.
one is the New Hope? I'm not familiar with that one.
It's branded that way. I'm sorry.
Yes. Yeah,
it's
lame.
New Coke to you.
Lame.
I understand.
Episode 4.
Ah, now I know what you're talking about. Now I know.
Sorry, old man.
All right, so we have that. So we have 1 for Star Wars and 2 for Last Jedi. Where are you, Jeffrey?
The Last Jedi. And
All right, so
of all of these films, I mean, I had the most emotional connection. Being the oldest man here and seeing the film, I had the most emotional connection that felt like those original films was The Last Jedi, especially the scene with the fire tree and Yoda. I mean, I was bawling my eyes out. I really was, because all of a sudden I was back being 11 years old. You know, at that, for some reason, that movie just connected with me like the others didn't. You know, that I felt finally something that tapped into my emotions that took me back to being 35 years ago. So I love The Last Jedi. I've seen that one probably more than any of the sequels. I've watched that like 6 or 7 times. It's just brilliant. I love it. But,
and the issues, I guess, you know, has anyone? It seems that critics really love the idea of Rian Johnson, but there's been a lot of people who have questioned and who have had issues with him going off on his own to create his own story, which, as we all agree, worked. Is there anyone? Well, actually, let's get into this first. Let's go through Danny and Alan first before we get into that. Danny, what's your thought?
You already know. Last Jedi, yeah.
Last Jedi, yeah, you're the same one as well. And then Alan, are you following this too, or are you gonna take a sidecar too?
Episode 4.
Yeah, my boy.
Episode 4. I love the original Star Wars films. Obviously, that's the one that brought us to the dance, right? So that's the one we got to kind of. But when I rewatch Star Wars, it's actually one of the ones I don't watch as much. I know it so well, beat for single beat. I love it, but I don't know what else it can teach me. You know what I'm saying? And with all the tinkering that Lucas has done, because that's the one he's tinkered with the most, that stuff kind of bothers me the older I get. I want to see that original 1977 cut. I want to see that film. And maybe if I had, maybe I would rank it higher. The Last Jedi speaks to me on such a personal level, more so than almost any of the other Star Wars films, because it's a movie about failure and how you deal with failure. And as a 50-year-old man, that's a subject matter I need to hear about. Okay. When you're looking back at your life and you're deciding what you were successful at and what you weren't, what you want to be remembered for, what your legacy is, what you're preparing for the assessment of your life. And the journey that Luke takes in that movie, and the journey that all the characters take in that movie, of all the Star Wars films, personally resonates with me the most. Even though it's not my favorite, I love it, and I have to go with A New Hope on this one, Episode 4 on this. So I'm agreeing with Michael on this one.
All right, so we have 4-2 when it comes down to it. Does anyone want to make any last minute things here? Are we happy with Last Jedi being next? I know you two have New Hope coming in, but as we said, these are our final three. We love them just as much as the next. They're all by millimeters differences here, and I understand the whole thing about loss and losing things as well. Though I choose to believe that a 50-year-old self is more of a winner, and that's why I go to movies, as opposed to just watching Rocky over and over again to be like, we found love, but he lost. You know, I have to think about the later ones. You know, I got to think about Rocky 4, where he defeated communism with a punch. You know, and that's the way I need to live my life. So that's kind of where I am here. So I will say that. I did very much question these two as well, because of what this film kind of delivered differently than what we saw before. But I am going to have to go and just say Last Jedi is the next on this list. So sorry, Michael. Sorry, Alan. But
it's okay to be
I
wrong.
think we're, like I said,
Okay. Yeah, right.
Well, you know what? That's why we're here. We're going by the numbers. So if you can't live with the mass as a whole, you know, you can vote for someone else next term, I guess, is my thought process here. So Last Jedi, so much fun, but I think we need to let's blast it out, and let's also stomp it out too, just cause. Need a little extra help there as well. Double up. That's my thought process. All about quality and quantity. Actually, quantity first. Let's go to the next one here. I think we all know what it's going to be, so let's just make it a yes on this one. Star Wars: A New Hope. Jamie.
Yes.
Danielle.
Empire.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Whoa! Now this is interesting.
Burn the heretic.
This is the preeminent. You're not going against. You're going against the like every kind of like the Amazon River at this point right now is what you're going against. So I want to hear this. Talk to me. Go.
I have A New Hope, Empire, Last Jedi. All three are tied in my book, so they're all interchangeable. But
they're
I'm
interchangeable.
going with
But you did say Empire though, so
yeah,
that's
because
why
they're all interchangeable. But but it can be just by hair. But I'm going with Empire.
So what's the hair between original and Empire that has you fallen over as Empire being second to best?
Star Wars is the film next to Jurassic Park that put me down this path. It put me in a direction of wanting to be a filmmaker.
Very
right.
noble. Yeah, very admirable. She's right.
No, that's what we're for opinions too. So this might be a little bit of a personal a thought with that hair falling to that side there. But let's see. We have a little speed bump on the road there. Michael, are you still following the initial run? Are we going to? Okay, so we got 2 for New Hope and/or Star Wars original cola flavor. Jeffrey, original.
Man, this is like King Solomon, trying to choose between your children. This is the most difficult. I agree with Danielle. It's like, the original, my God, that's what started the whole phenomenon, right? But I have to go with the original. Star Wars is the next one. Yeah, so sorry.
All right. Star Wars. Okay, Danny?
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is really important, but Empire is not just the best of all the Star Wars films. It's one of the greatest films of all time. But you have to have Star Wars to get there. To me, it's like Godfather 2. I think Godfather 2 is a better film than Godfather 1, but you have to have Godfather 1 to get there, and they're both fantastic. So I would just put, Star Wars. I'm just going to call it Star Wars.
Thank you.
As number 2.
Well, you made one little Ewok very happy. That's so nice of you. All right, so let's go
21.
to. All right, Alan.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. Star Wars. Yeah, like I said, it's the one that brought us to the dance. I remember vividly seeing that in the theater when I was 7 years old. I don't remember much when I was 7, but I remember that. It's just that Empire is a perfect film.
Yeah.
It's just perfect. And
you know why? 2 words: Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah.
That screenplay is perfect. And then Aaron Kushner too, the director. But Lucas had no fingerprints on that. It was Lawrence Kasdan's incredible writing. Everything else suffered. After that.
There's an emotional through line through Empire Strikes Back, which is unparalleled in any of the other films. And Star Wars is great. Technically, it's a blast. It's still a movie that I can put on and enjoy completely. It's utterly a masterpiece. But you're asking me to King Solomon, you're cutting the kid in half.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I'm going to go with the top half of the kid. I'm going to go.
No, don't cut it. Give him the whole movie. Give him.
But I love Star Wars very much. It's very much a part of the life. But Empire is my favorite.
I agree. All right, so let's just let's just move on for this one. I knew this was kind of be the way we were running through these as well. So placement here, Star Wars, of course, is definitely one of the ones that defined a lot of worlds and the cinema as a whole in so many regards. So many people tried to copy it afterwards. Star Trek rushing to the theaters after their TV show because they saw how good Star Wars did, and they're like, we have to. Paramount wants to make money. Let's make this happen. So it's interesting to see how much.
Them 2 movies to get to Star Trek, though. The first one wasn't Star Trek.
Yeah,
you got to get to Khan before it was Star Trek.
Well, that's true, but from what I saw in a talk between, it was that captain's log where it was all the captains when it was Shatner and Nimoy and all of them together, and they were saying that they just got a call and they thought it was going to be a one-off because Star Wars did so well. They thought they were just going to make one Star Trek movie and be done with it, and then he was going to go off to do like they never knew. He didn't know it was going to be this. He didn't know it was going to go on to its own galaxy onto its own. So all right, so
just real quick, Derek, just to throw on that same thing. Lawrence Kasdan because of Empire, Nicholas Meyer because of Star Trek: Wrath of Khan. It's because you got the right writers and the right people together, and it became that's what set up. If you didn't have Nicholas Meyer doing Wrath of Khan, we would have no more Star Trek. It wouldn't have happened. So that's what it really takes is you have Nicholas Meyer and Lawrence Kasdan who just championed, and those are the movies that are most loved out of both series.
No more Star Trek. What a shame that would be.
Wow.
That's another argument for another day, and here's why.
That is, and that's something that's. I think you're just poking the bear for no reason right now, and that's.
Quick fun fact: I actually prefer Star Trek to Star Wars.
I do too. As I got older, me too, because of the science behind it. But the Star Wars is from my childhood that gives me a return to something. But yeah, I prefer Star Trek too. So.
I don't want to speak for Jeffrey or Danny too much, but as of similar age, seeing Empire Strikes Back that opening weekend, I had no idea about Vader. None.
Oh no, me neither. Yeah.
And when that piece drops in the movie theater, I saw Danny I don't know if you remember this in Houston. You remember that big Alabama theater that used to be on it was on Alabama. But I saw it there. Funny story.
The little threeplex at River Oaks. Are you talking about River Oaks?
Well, yeah, it's a little over by River Oaks, but it became a game. It was a book stop, and now it's Trader Joe's. Okay. So that's where they played Empire. They played it in 70 millimeter.
Okay.
And I will say this: the day it opened, I went to Saturday. The day it opened, apparently Sam Kinison went out because he was working at the Comedy Store at the time. Sam Kinison went out to the line and he spoiled it.
I saw you posted that on.
And
I laughed so hard. I never heard that story before.
Yeah, he apparently went out and spoiled it to everybody in line at the Alabama theater. So
now, Alan, get this. So my friend, when I was 13 when I saw Empire, he got tickets to a American Cancer Society special screening a week before it came out. So we're seeing it where I saw the original Star Wars. It was called the Parkway Theater in Las Vegas, but it's gone now. We're watching the movie, packed house. And right where Vader says we must test it first on Captain Solo, the film melts and breaks. Yeah, I mean, people screamed, and it took them an hour to get the film fixed back again. But he goes, we will test it on Captain Solo. Classic bubble snap and people screaming. Yeah, so I'll never forget that. Yeah.
But when Vader says he's his father, and the entire theater gasps, sucks in all that air, and then I hear this guy go, "No," and it was me. It's like, it's like,
all right. Well, let's
keeping
close
that
it
secret for a year. Mark Hamill had to keep that secret for a year because only he and Lucas knew it. And they didn't. I love that story. Great story.
Yeah. Sorry to go off on that tangent, but
that's okay. And that's why we're here. We're talking here. So let's just give it a little smashy with the X-wing, and then we'll also throw in a stormtrooper for flavor.
Where's the foot?
Guys. All right. All right, so let's get to the last here. Let's just go over the easily the number one choice for most of us, if it wasn't by a hair, is gonna be Empire. I mean, there's nothing else like it. The film of what it not only what it delivered from the initial to the secondary, like it was a huge jump to me. And I mean, I don't know for people for originally when you watch it, I mean, it was almost like Terminator 2 kind of thing where you just made everything better automatically because it was better, because it was done, with the right amount of money, with the right amount of, forethought and everything that went with it, so many great things came about because of it. And so, and that's why it's my top pick as well. And then why most people find it to be the top pick. It's easily that side. So, if anyone has any last minute thoughts or anything to say about it, I mean, we're all kind of in agreement here, and anyone who has watched the film or watched it in any order knows why it is in its own place.
Well, there's a great book called Skywalking. I think it's been on print for many years, but it's mostly about Empire, and it's just got some incredible stories. Him going through the windshield and adding the Wampa attack because he was all messed up weeks before they started. Lucas financed the whole thing, but then he was going overboard. He had to go back to Fox for the money. There's just Skywalking is one of the most incredible, insightful books written 25, 30 years ago about all of that. So that's one of my favorite books. If you're a Star Wars fanatic, that's must read.
Wow, I definitely do want to read that. I never heard that before. I'm going.
Yeah, I should loan it out, but I never got it back years ago. But it's called Skywalking. Yeah, it's fantastic.
And the J.W. Rinsler book is really good too. The Making of Empire Strikes Back. It's a huge book to lift. I have it on Kindle, which makes it better. But that's a really great book about the making of it too. It totally breaks down the "I love you, I know" scene, which was a really hard scene to shoot at the time because they didn't know what to say. It was. The line in the script just wasn't getting it for them, and then that's a Harrison Ford moment. He came up with that line and made it sing.
I know. And that's Harrison Ford is one of those people who I love throughout the movies, but I could also tell the weight of Star Wars as it pulled him down at years and years and years. Like when I saw him at Comic-Con and hitting that stage, he's happy, but also he's like, I'm out, baby. I'm out. Like it's like he sees Boca out on the edge out there. He's like, I'm going to Boca, baby. We're done. No more of this. No more.
And real quick, my final thought: the worst bastardization of the entire Star Wars canon is Greedo shooting first. I think that's such bullshit to this day. Changing all of that, just like Spielberg putting walkie-talkies in the hands of the FBI instead of shotguns in ET. I think for him to do that is just heresy. It really is. And I don't want to say, he's the artist, he can do what he wants. No, absolutely not. As long as I have the original films I can see that I remember, I don't care what he does to them.
Hey, Jeff.
Greedo shooting first. Huh?
Hey, Jeff.
Yes,
he's the artist. He can do what he wants.
Right. Well, let's go change Mona Lisa.
Jeff,
Let's go change everything.
I completely agree. Okay.
Go ahead. Go for it. Go ahead, Jamie.
I was just going to say I completely agree with Jeff, and I was going to ask Jeff if he's seen the Disney Plus version and the new edition, McCluskey edition.
McClunky.
McClunky. Is it McClunky? I thought it was McCluskey.
McClunky,
no, it's just...
Yeah. Did we ever get an answer, like what does McClunky mean? Why did they add that?
Yes, it says you die now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in his language, in the Greedo language, that means you die now.
Yep.
Okay.
I gotcha.
I guess we
Classic
needed
Star
that.
Wars logic. Classic Star Wars logic.
This is something I fought with before on an earlier debate on whether when something is out, is it his own island? Should we judge the creator and let them change things later on or judge them by it?
If film is art, you don't go back and change it, okay? It just doesn't work that way. You know, it applies to books. If King goes, you know what, those last 4 chapters of The Shining, I got something better. This is going to be the new version now. Oh, the Mona Lisa over there, I really don't want her smiling. I'm going to change it. I paid it. I could do it. And it's the same thing with motion pictures. They're art. You don't go back and change what everyone loves and adores because you have a whim 10 years later.
Disagree.
I agree. I think
I'm going to take your book, Michael, and I'll just write what I just, you're going to change it?
Jeffrey,
Yes.
if I wait, which book? I don't have a book. Well, I have a book, but we're not going to talk about that book.
The Trump book. Trump book.
I wrote a Trump porno.
Yes, you did.
So if like, okay, I have 2 movies. If I wanted to go back, and nobody gives a shit about my movies, but if I wanted to go back and change one of those movies, there's nothing wrong with that because it's art. It's fluid. You know, art, it has no set rules. Now
You have that right,
now,
but you
that
call it
being
a special
said,
edition, you call it whatever you want, but give me your original one too.
That being said, I do agree with you in so much as if you're going to do that, you keep the previous version that was put out into the world and allow it to reach people. I do think that the constant, like, you know, only the special editions and anything comes after, nothing from the original, is pretty fucked. At the same time, like if you look at all the additions that Lucas made to the films, there's plenty of good shit in there. It's just muddled by, you know, that and like the giant lizard monster thing, like taking up the entire frame for 2 solid seconds and stuff like that.
Well, for him to say these are the final
and
ones forever and ever, that's what I'm upset about. I get that. It's wrong. Anyway,
Well, if I can't walk next to Jabba, what's the point? Is my issue. I need to walk next to him in this scene, or else it's worthless. I think.
I hate that scene out of all of them. I actually hate that one versus the Greedo scene because
Which one?
The Jabba scene that's added in the New Hope. I hate it because I think the whole thing has already. It's a same scene. It's the exact same scene with Greedo and Han.
Yeah.
The same dialogue. Even they say the same things. So it's just there to show off a really cheesy, bad special effect at the time.
Add a ring
too.
to the Death Star when it blows up. You know, it's like, okay.
I don't mind. I kind of like that.
But I mean, I know, but it's just like, okay.
I have a much bigger problem with adding Hayden Christensen in Return of the Jedi than any of the other things you just mentioned. That to me is worse. And I don't like what they did with the Guido scene at all. But to me, that's worse. That's the worst thing that he did.
When I saw his little hologram there, I was so angry. Oh,
and I don't understand if you're gonna do that though, then why didn't we replace Alec Guinness with Ewan McGregor? Like it just doesn't even make sense.
It's not consistent.
It's not even consistent nonsense.
Yeah,
exactly.
Alan, and in the original film, there was a gag on the Death Star when they were running after them, and they say, close the blast doors, and then they go, open the blast doors. There's little things that have disappeared over the last 30 years from these films that I remember vividly. He's taken out little jokes. He's changed things all the time. It drives me crazy. Sound effects. Obi-Wan used to do like a little, what was that noise? Remember when he's getting rid of the tractor beam? There was a, that's not there anymore. When he does with his hand, it's gone.
It was like a tick, like a click.
It was like there was an explosion that distracted the stormtroopers. They go, what was that noise? But in the new films, it's gone. There's no sound effect.
Yeah, I think we need a Deadpool to kind of break the fourth wall, to be like, oh, talk to Professor X, McAvoy or Stewart, like kind of thing. Like we need that kind of to break the wall and kind of like just take apart all those problems and issues or whatever else, and then we'll all be happy with it, you know. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no character within Star Wars, as far as I know of, that has that kind of humor, and you take that off. So, all right. Well, as it is, you know what? Like I said, Empire, amazing film. Star Wars is an amazing world, and I'm very happy to talk about it whenever I can. So before we go, I want, of course, to let you all talk about where people can find you, if they agreed with your opinions, or more importantly, if they did not agree with your opinions, they know where to find you and let you know about it. So let's start with Jami. Where can they find you, and everything you do?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Phibrick, and also check out my YouTube channel, Phibrick Talks. All
right, fantastic. Next up, Solzy, Danielle, what is the information on you?
You can find me on Twitter at Danielle SATM, Facebook Solzy at the Movies, SOLZY, and of course my website, solzyatthemovies.com. Again, that's SOLZY.
Oh, did I misspell it?
SOLZY.
You got
it right.
You spelled it correctly. It's just I said it so fast.
Okay, no worries. I thought I got it wrong there. I was pretty positive. All right, Michael. Go.
You can find me on Twitter at Michael Keene. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. You can find those. I have a YouTube channel. Just search for Michael Keene. I talk about mostly Blu-rays and sort of trash cult cinema, a lot of Vinegar Syndrome stuff. And then I'm also a filmmaker. I did the Neil Breen homage Fatal Future. And
I love Neil Breen.
I made a shot on VHS horror film last year called The Head, which I'm pretty proud of. Both of those are on Amazon, and The Head is also on Vimeo.
I read for The Head, by the way. I remember that. I read for a part in it.
I'm sorry, your part was cut. Give me a break. Jesus Christ.
It would have been a great Nazi, I think, wasn't it?
That
Was he a Nazi?
Yeah, I had a whole neo-Nazi thing, but it had to get cut, which is probably for the best. But
Don't worry, Jeff. You don't want to be typecast, anyways. All right, Jeffrey K. Howard. Next up.
Well, you can. My website is vegasfilmcritic.com, and it's you go there. It's got all my portals, all my social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and just find everything there. Especially my YouTube page. That's where all my interviews and reviews are right now. And if you're here in Las Vegas, my show's on KCLV TV. It's on Friday and Sunday nights.
All right. Next up, Danny.
All right, so I write for the Houston Community Newspapers. So I'm on Chron.com, which is the Houston Chronicle website for that. So you can look up my name on that. At Crunch on This, that's my website also, crunchonthis.com. And Rotten Tomatoes, you can catch me almost, all over.
All right. Well, this is where I would go to Greg, but apparently Greg was just there as a placeholder.
Thank God we didn't wait for him.
I know. There's no way we're going to wait for him. Well, and the worst part is he literally said, I should make it on time. Well, you say should make it on time. That means 10 minutes aside or something like that. So I don't know. But he got some free publicity with his name there, I guess, and that's it. But he's not invited to the party next time unless he confirms twice over. So let's jump past him, go directly to Alan.
You can find me on Twitter at Alan W. Cerny on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram at NordlingCS, which is an old name. I probably should change it. And I also do a podcast called Matinee Heroes with my friend Craig Price, and we talk about heroic cinema and how to apply heroism into daily life. So please visit that podcast. We would love to hear from you.
No, it's cool. I'm a big fan of heroes in films. I feel like I do the best work, or I actually try to attempt things more after I get out of a film where a hero actually did something well. I try to live my life with the soundtrack of Superman as I try to get things done, because it makes me feel like I actually have a chance. That dun 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 dun. And so I feel if I have that soundtrack, I feel like my life is just missing the right soundtrack, is what I'm trying to say. So I could be like the king or the president at this point if I could just have the right freaking soundtrack. I feel like I'd be where I need to be at this point. But right now I'm just getting a lot of B horror guys who are kind of doing some side projects on my life, as well as maybe some cartoon animators who decided to get into the music biz, and so that's kind of where I am in my level too. So, but that's something where I want to talk about later on. Of course, my name is Derek. Review Nation, reviewNation.net. You can find me there. TV stations in Las Vegas, as well as some other networks and online places. But more importantly, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. I hope you had fun. This is one of those topics, one of those things I just wanted to go after. And I wanted to have a big quorum of people to kind of make the judge, give opinions on, and just kind of go for it. That's why this is all happening now. We're quarantined, and this is the way we are reaching out to the world one way or the other. So I hope everyone who watches this get a chance to enjoy this for what it was. It's us having fun and giving our expertise and our opinions and our life stories along with these votes. So I want to thank you all again. So the council here, Star Wars worst to best. This was a fantastic episode, and I want to thank everyone again. So have a great day. We will see everyone else very, very soon. Have a great day.